worth it. Think about it. When we were young
I never
boys,
thought about that.
How many young girls that you really want to date or mess around with that had dads in their house?
You know, funny enough, most of the girls I dated when I was younger didn't have a dad.
No dad?
Yeah.
Because it's easier. Like, we being unfiltered.
Nah, don't put that on me. I'm not saying it because it was easier. No.
I ain't saying it because of you. I'm saying because...
you went like because it's easier. You want something today.
Nah.
Because it was easier. Nah, I didn't say that.
I ain't saying that.
It's just a pattern I saw.
What? You saying? Pass the least resistance.
Man, get yourself a filter, man. Get yourself a filter.
No.
Let's go, let's go, let's grow, let's grow, let's get it.
We are here with another episode live in studio, Black Dad Unfiltered. I'm Carlos V. Spencer.
And I'm your boy, Coach Rod. As always, here at Black Dad Unfiltered, we're trying to change the narrative and perception of black fathers through authentic conversation and real talk. So, folks, thanks for joining in. Thank you for listening. Los, what we got on deck
today? And both of us can actually add into this from firsthand experience.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about black fathers in particular, but raising daughters. Black fathers raising daughters. I have two daughters myself. And
I have two.
Yeah.
Two girls.
Yeah, two girls. My two daughters are grown now. So my oldest daughter is 20. My youngest daughter is 18. She will be 19. Yours?
My daughters are going to be 16 and 14 this year. So I'm dealing with those teenage years. Wow. Yes, sir.
I'm just getting out of those teenage years.
Yes.
We've both done the baby years. And you start off with this: when you had children, or started having children, or before even having, was there a desire to have daughters?
No.
No? Did you want all sons? Did you not want daughters? Did you really?
I want all sons. Absolutely. I think every man wants all sons, right?
Do they? No, they want all sons.
Man, stop it. Man. Stop it.
I wanted a son first.
Your daughters are not going to think anything after they watch this, all right? You wanted boys.
No,
cut this out.
I wanted a boy first.
I wanted all boys. I wanted 5 boys.
Did you really?
Oh, absolutely, man. My dreams was throwing footballs in the backyard, 3-on-3 basketball games. We could do our own little bit. Yo, man, my whole heart was set on having nothing but boys. So much so, interesting story.
Yeah.
And again, apologize to my princess if she feels a way about this. So my first child was my son.
Yeah.
So when you have a son first, I don't know about you, but my mind was like, oh, I'm a boy producing machine. Okay.
That's all you're going to have.
That's all I heard. Like, because they, first it's us, XY chromosomes, right? So when the first one was a boy, I'm like, oh.
That's all we're going to have.
This is what we're going to do.
That's it.
So when my second child comes, kind of like you, my kids are close in years.
Yeah.
My daughter, my daughter, let's call it the child at that moment. Child comes out, I'm like, okay. It took me like a good 2 minutes for a while. Because I'm like...
Oh, you figured it out?
Yeah, I was like this.
Wait a minute.
Something's missing here, man. Like
something's different.
I'm looking at the doctor like, yo, is she okay? Like, no, not she. I was like, is he okay? Like, oh, this is a girl. Man, yo, this whole thing took over me of having to protect her. Yeah. I'm looking around, put some clothes on her. You know what I mean? Like, yo, so...
Whole different experience.
At that moment, I was like, man, I got a daughter. Best thing that ever could have happened to me.
See? But you didn't know it before.
I didn't. Yo, man, having a daughter, especially if you want to be a father. Yeah. Because I wanted to be a dad. You remember back in college, you guys were talking about nice cars. Oh, I can't wait to get my first minivan. Do road trips.
I remember that. This dude would be like, minivan is a sports car for a dad.
I'm just saying. Had the outlet. Yeah. Oh my God. Right? But to say that, yeah.
Let's talk about in these stages then. So
go ahead.
We pretty much have the stages. Yeah, you in the teenage years, and I actually got a little bit older than that. But starting off as a young child, you have your daughter. You had your son first. Yeah. Was anticipating possibly another son for you. After I had my son first, I was kind of like, I want a daughter now because my son was first. I didn't want a daughter. Then having my daughter as a child, the one thing I can say that I won't say it's off topic, just within the conversation. My daughter was way more advanced than my son at that age. Being young. And I was like, I tell people all the time to this day, so maybe this helps some dads watching. If you have a daughter first and then have a son second, I'd be like, listen, bro, there's nothing wrong with your son. All right, you about to have a son, and he's probably not going to be as advanced as your daughter was. When I had my daughter second, she was way more advanced. Potty trained herself. Like, she potty trained herself almost by the time she could walk. And I was looking back at my son like, bro, like, What happened to you?
No, I don't have that. My son
way more advanced.
My son was advanced young. It's when he became a teenager that I was like, yo, he's Benjamin Buttoning me. You know what I mean? He's doing a little Benjamin Button. There's no way you thinking like this, right? There's not a chance. Yeah. But I'll say this, and this is from my story. So, up until that moment, and I was married. All my children came, when I was married. Yeah. So, my mother is the only woman that ever loved me unconditionally. Mm-hmm. Unconditionally, right? And you realize, and this is a segue, when men talk about their mothers, it's not necessarily they want someone like their mother. It's the unconditional love that a mother represents. Mm-hmm. You could be deaf, blind, and stupid. You're still your mother's baby, right? Because she just loves you. Right. So, men want that in their partners. Now, chances are, what we see in society now, when you're with that woman, you're not getting that unconditional love. Mm-hmm. You're not. But you know who's going to give it to you? Your daughter. Your daughters. Your daughters will give it to you. Mm-hmm. Man, listen, I remember.
So the daughter-daddy dynamic is like a lot of times you see the son-mother dynamic. A lot of times you see that.
So this is what I want to get into when we talk is like really how do you deal with the discipline? How do you deal with the stuff that is easier for you to do with your son? Mm-hmm. But I remember, and I always I told my daughter this is how special she was to me. When I was having a tough time, my daughter, I would lay on my couch. My daughter would just walk up, disrespectful, right? She'll walk up, lift my arm up, snuggle underneath me, and put my arm around her. Yeah. Man, when I told you that would just, because for her, I was hers.
Right.
I was hers. You're my, and I'm telling you,
my daddy.
Your daughters, they speak to the king in you.
That's good. My daughter, when I would come home, she'd be like 3 or 4. I come in the house, my daughter would take my bag when I would come from work. She'd take my jacket, and then she'd go lay it down and place it down. Like, when I'm coming to, okay, Dad, give me a jacket. I'm turning around while she's taking the jacket off. When I'm coming in the house, she's like 3, 4 years old. I don't know where you got this from. But my daughter, very similar like what you said. Like, this is my daddy. He's mine. Not nobody else's.
And so I will say now, because all my kids are in the teenage and my son is transitioning to the adulthood. Man, listen, I wouldn't be as emotionally stable I am now if I didn't have my daughters. My daughters ground me. My daughter, like hearing them call me dad, because their love can't be replaced. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Their love. One second, man. I feel like David Letterman. Who in the studio? we gonna deal with you. Turn your phones off. Put them on vibrate. Put them on silent. Okay? Is it you? we gonna talk after this. We just lost an employee today, Los.
Oh no!
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so the daughters, and to God, daughters. I still want a lot of boys because I just feel like there's more things. So if I'm talking now, I think I want the boys so I can fill the gaps that I had and give them what I didn't have. Right. My daughters, because I was never a girl. My daughters, I just gave them all of me, and there was no expectations on how they should become or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it just became easier to love my daughters and forgive my daughters and experience things with my daughters. And to this day, I truly love all 3 of my kids, but I'm a daddy's girl. You know what I mean?
So for me too, I won't say it was necessarily difficult, but it was different because I have all brothers. So there were no girls in the house. And then out of 9 grandchildren, there was 1 granddaughter. Oh. And so it was like weird. You talking about all boys.
Wow.
So when I started having daughters, it was like, oh, there's really no blueprint for this. Because, you kind of pick up the son dynamic, the brothers, you got that. Mm-hmm. And so with my son, it was like, we're going to play some sports. It's going to be rough with you, play around with you, knock you down, all that stuff. It was kind of easy. So not that it was difficult, but it definitely was different when I had my daughters, especially my first daughter. But it was like a different type of, what is this? This type of love that you're receiving from your daughters. I think the treatment is different too, but go ahead before I jump into that.
No. I mean, I wasn't saying nothing special. It's when you have daughters, it prepares you differently because you have to exercise different muscles. Mm-hmm. You have to exercise different skills and different tools. Mm-hmm. You really gotta go into your bag when you have daughters. Mm-hmm. So now again, we're older in the game. I had children in my mid-20s.
Yeah, same.
So I wasn't just from 18, you know. So I had a career. So with my daughters, I realized the easiest way for me to raise them is to give them a place of safety and a tremendous amount of love. Meaning that, you know, we talked about this. Showing and expressing my love to them and being affectionate with them was my first way of actually protecting you. You get what I'm saying? So I had to just start exercising. With my son, it was more along the lines, all right, we're going to go to the court and play basketball, right? I'm going to tutor you. I'm going to coach your teens. With my daughters, it was more so stuff like, oh, why you look so cute? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was different
type of treatment.
Different.
For me, it was more two of my daughters. I was very early on aware of the way that I treat them is the way that they're going to expect to be treated.
Yeah, I got that from you. I remember you told me when you used to bring flowers for Valentine's Day to their school.
Even that too. But here's another thing.
I used to do the day after when the flowers went on sale. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, so for me, not only would I do that, I would take flowers and I would take teddy bears and things to my daughter's school on days that were not their birthday and not Valentine's or not a holiday. I would do it on those days as well, but I wanted them to be surprised and to be used to someone treating them that way just because.
Yeah.
And I would purposely do it in school so that they could take them around all day. And because it ain't Valentine's Day where everybody got flowers. Everybody got a bear.
Wow.
It ain't your birthday where everybody else is giving you stuff.
Yeah.
It's a day in school. What's going on? Why you got this teddy bear?
Just because.
My daddy came and brought it to me. Really? So I would purposely go even when they were young.
Yeah. Just
because I knew that they're going to expect to be treated that way. When they were younger, I would purposely open the door for them. I remember this like it's yesterday. I would hold my daughter's hands while we're walking upstairs and say, a man will always bring you up. He'll never bring you down.
Not even 10 minutes in. Not even 10 minutes in.
Yo, I can't make...
Nah, go ahead, man.
Yo, I just said my grandfather said. I ain't thought that one.
Nah, man, but
that was one that...
Like, we like 20 shows in, and I haven't had one quote yet, man. Not one to quote. I can't think of nothing.
You going bar for bar. You got it.
I can't think of nothing, man.
Coach Ryan all day. I didn't quote you on the show already while we've been on the show.
Good Lord.
So I would do that with my daughters because I intentionally just knew that, okay, I'm setting a course. I'm setting a precedent. I'm setting something up for them to understand that this is the bar. Like, later in life, you got to meet me where my dad met me or above. And if it's beneath that, like, what is this?
So,
I don't understand.
So now we're going to go down this rabbit hole, right?
Okay.
Because first thing I thought about when you did that was the other man on the other side is like, your dad gave you unrealistic expectations, which I don't believe they're unrealistic. But I'm trying to put my mind in the ear of other men. It's like, well, this is why women have a hard time right now because they want all this. But at the heart of it is, which I'm thinking right now, I thought about when we talked about doing this was, my job as a dad when I have my son is to raise my son to be a man. And I've taken on the responsibility of raising my son to eventually become a partner, which is the basics of your accountability, your integrity, your character. What are you going to do when even your family, kids are not around? Are you still going to represent?
Right.
But I've now understood it is my job to raise my daughter to be a wife.
True.
I never thought about that before because automatically you would think that that responsibility falls on the mom.
Right.
However, how will my daughter know what a man likes, appreciates, if she doesn't see a man in action growing up, like and appreciate?
Right.
Man, listen, the biggest thing I did differently was with my daughters, I actually told them, I need to hear that you love me. Like, we're not doing this, I need it. I need to know, I want to hear what you... I want it because I don't want them growing in life saying, oh, Dad, take us to the mall, and I don't hear the thank you. Or Dad did this and don't realize, well, Dad did this because he loves you. And you know what I mean? I really started focusing on that Because I was like, okay, my job is also not just to show you the protector side of me, but to also get you to understand, okay, this is how, if you ever decide to get married, this comes with it, right? And so also with my son, you know, hey, how are you going to have a healthy relationship if you can't communicate? So now looking at that part of my daughters, it's like, man, I gotta build you up so somebody can take you from me.
Yeah.
But also build you up that whoever takes you from me better be better than me.
Right.
In that regard, you know what I mean? That they're gonna assume, to your point, not that this man would just give me flowers, but this man will sit down with me and critique me and challenge me to be better and know what that looks like. Because I challenge my daughters. I tell my daughter, you're doing this because you're comfortable. My job is to let you experience adversity under my protection. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, those are the things now, if we switch into raising daughters, because we talked before about raising sons when it comes to law enforcement, raising sons when it comes to emotional intelligence, which we got to do with our daughters as well.
Yeah, we do.
Raising sons when it comes to education, same thing with the daughters. But I just realized it's different. Like, my biggest thing now is raising my daughter so some next man can't come groom you. Can't come R. Kelly you, you know? So these are the challenges.
And so it isn't the first time that they're hearing it, that they're hearing it from somebody else, right? So now when some young boy comes and says something to my daughter, she's already heard her father say, you're beautiful. And I intentionally, we talk about daughters, like, if my daughter gets her hair done, I'll say to her, baby, you're beautiful and your hair is beautiful too.
Yeah, I just used that the other day.
Yeah.
Someone said to me, huh? I said, never mind. Lo said it. Right? But
so I do that on purpose, so I don't want her to feel like you're only beautiful when you get your hair done.
Yeah, but you're talking to the edifying side. I'm talking to the protection side.
Yeah.
So an incident happened with my daughter at school, in high school, where one of her classmates literally grabbed her up, a guy classmate. And this was years ago, and she told me, this was in high school, this was years ago, we just had a conversation about it a few weeks ago, and she told me at that moment, and she was afraid to tell me. I was like, dang, I don't want to violate your trust.
Right.
But this kid has to, you know, we got to address this.
Yeah.
So I told her, I actually had this conversation with my daughter. I said, babe, dad ain't always going to be strong. Dad ain't always going to have muscles. And there's going to come a point where I ain't going to win the fight. Right? While I can, I have to teach you how to find your voice and find strength. So, you know, we did what we did. I went to the school and I told her, I said, I can't do this just for you. I'm responsible to protect every girl in that school. If there's a boy that has aggression and is gonna put his hands on women, I gotta cut this off. That's my responsibility as a man. So when we talked about it a few weeks ago, and this is the part that made me realize something. She says, I kind of told you because I wanted you to do something about it.
Yeah.
And I said, how many times do women of color, black, brown, indigenous, whatever you want to put in the BIPOC, are afraid to speak up?
Yeah.
Right? And so this is why I realized, yeah, I can make you feel you're beautiful all day long, but I got to make sure your voice is the thing you value the most. And that's what I found to be the most important thing about raising daughters is, how do I put you in environments, in situations even at home, when you realize when you speak, it deserves to be listened to. Is that making sense?
It does make sense. And in that space of protection too.
Sure.
We can kind of gradually go into some of this next stage of, I don't know, if your daughter's dating yet?
It's like it's like you want me to do something. You want a reaction from me.
It's unfiltered, man. So you know, it's just like, you know.
Nah, man. Go ahead somewhere with this, man. Go ahead, go somewhere else with this.
Yo, we got to do it. We
you know, my daughter asked me what age can I date, Dad. I said 17.
How old is she?
My 16. Daughter, she's 15. She's gonna be 16. She said, why so early? I had the conversation. Why so late? I said, well, boys' braids don't mature until they're 25.
Yeah.
So you'll always just be an experience to a boy that you commit yourself to at this age, because he don't know what he want and he don't know how to see you. So now, then she's like, yeah, but you know, what if we're just friends? Then why call him your boyfriend? Right? Why? So the minute you want to say somebody's your boyfriend, there's an expectation beyond just us studying books that come with this.
Well, so for me, I definitely never would give the title out. I would even say, you know, just some boy that think he dating my daughter. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't give that title out myself, but I would, in the area of protection, I told my daughters, especially in those ages, those 14, 15, 16, 17, I said, you have to understand that your dad is making it hard and making it uncomfortable for boys to want to date you. And by me doing that in that protection space, I'm making it better for you. Because any young boy that want to deal with me, you sure don't want to spend your time with him.
I didn't even think about it that far, right? Because that's a good point. That's a strong point, right? It's if he's willing to come deal with me,
right,
then that tells me he sees something in you that's worth
it. Think about it. When we were young
I never
boys,
thought about that.
How many young girls that you really want to date or mess around with that had dads in their house?
You know, funny enough, most of the girls I dated when I was younger didn't have a dad in
no
the house.
dad?
Yeah.
Because it's easier. Like, we being unfiltered.
Nah, don't put that on me. I'm not saying it because it was easier. No.
I ain't saying it because of you. I'm saying because...
you went like because it's easier. You want something today.
Nah.
Because it was easier. Nah, I didn't say that.
I ain't saying that.
It's just a pattern I saw.
Well, I'm just saying. Pass the least resistance.
Man, get yourself a filter, man. Get yourself a filter.
No. What's up? We are Black Dad Unfiltered. We are here to change the narrative through authentic conversation for black men, and particularly black fathers. We thank you for joining us here on this episode. Please like the channel, subscribe to the channel, send a comment to the channel. Let us know the information that you like. Let us know what's speaking towards you. We'll be sure to stay in touch with you as well. Thank you.
It's Black Rod Unfiltered from now on. But go ahead.
Black Carlos Filter. So, now I'm going to say a good amount of young boys, and even me, when I was younger, the young girls that you would deal with, even if you dealt with them or didn't deal with it, you just know it felt... If a man is in there,
ain't certain thing gonna fly under this man's...
you ain't gonna do.
Yeah.
Certain places you ain't gonna try to go there with, and... some stuff like, I just ain't gonna try to mess with that girl because I don't want to have to deal with her dad.
Because you know he coming.
But
to that point, right? So going back to the story, when I spoke to my daughter, I said, I need you first to fall in love with yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So at least I know once you've made yourself a priority, then we can engage in a conversation, bring somebody into your circle. Because what will happen right now, because you see TV and you asking me about dating, right? You're going to fool yourself and say, we really friends, we just closer. But when you see this boy talking to 8 other women, how you going to feel?
Right.
So now, you ain't about your books. You're about what this boy's doing. This is what I mean.
Yeah.
Because when you get mature and you see this dude with 7 other women, you're like, all right, have a good time. You move on. I need to get you there. And I realized with my daughters, it was a lot of, not that the boys are no good. It's, let's break down the science of this. What are you feeling? I'm fine with you feeling hormones. I'm fine with you wanting a connection to someone. But with my daughters, because I value emotional intelligence, how do I also train you to understand what you're feeling?
Yeah, I was never that old school type dad of, you ain't dating, you ain't dating nobody, nobody coming in his house. But I tell you,
I am.
I ain't that because, like you said, I know you got feelings. But for me, one of my daughters, I won't go into the names, but I'll tell you the scenario. One of my daughters, once she got into this point in life where some boy was interested in high school, she was probably about 17, right? And she's asking me about him because she know we had that open space and dialogue to, hey babe, if you ever want to, or if you're ever going to get into that space or somebody's interested, then we need to have a conversation about it before you go anywhere or do anything with this young boy. And so by that conversation alone, I know a lot of boys weren't brought to me because of that. Nah, hey, you ain't worth meeting my dad. Or whatever, nah, this ain't gonna fly.
Hey, you ain't religious, my dad. You ain't
whatever.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I'm cutting them off. So now I'm already doing you a favor. I told my daughters that I'm cutting off the ones that you really don't want to have nothing to do with. So once he does, she wants to. Okay, cool. I'm old school. I'm like, I call the parents. We need to meet each other. And they were a little dumbfounded, like, why would you want to meet each other?
Because my daughter going with
my daughter.
What you think?
Is with your son are supposed to be going out to some movie or something. Then I want us to meet each other first. So now that's already another thing I set in place. If the parents ain't there, I'm cutting other boys off.
Man, right? Listen, I cut the boy off because of the parents.
Now I met him, and I was like, okay, this is okay. We made each other. We have an understanding, and then. Like I said, I'm not old school where you can't do nothing, but I am old school in the sense of the next step was he has to meet me, and I'm not setting it up. I'm not setting it up. I'm not calling. I'm not pursuing it. He got to set it up.
We talking about daughters, but my son. And I hope you watching this. Okay? I hope you watch. Yo, my son. Because I don't recognize. Yo, I was worse with my son. Don't bring no girls here. Because, my son is.
You sound straight Haitian when you said that.
Yo, don't bring no girls. Yo. And which is weird, right? Because as a dad, hey, son, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Let him know. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, listen, you good looking. And I'm not just saying this because it's my son. You good looking. You got the body of a football player. Dude, these girls at this age will only derail you. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? There's too many things you're trying to balance. Mm-hmm. We ain't got time for this. And so when girls will come, man, my whole prison pose will come.
So that was me with the daughters. So I'm helping you get ready.
Yeah, that was, man, listen.
I'm helping you get ready. I'm helping you prepare.
Why?
You're 16. You should be 17 soon.
Who?
I'm helping you.
My daughter? Yeah, you helping me. Man, listen, I'm sure she dating somebody right now. Yeah.
So
I'm sure she is, but she know, and they know.
Again,
I ain't gonna make it easy for you.
You took the words out of my mouth.
I ain't gonna make this easy.
I'm not making it easy. And then he finally set it up, or this, and third. He wanted to come to the house and meet me. I said, sure. Same thing. You talking about prison pose? He's stuttering. He's sweating, and I'm not. Oh, it's okay. No, I'm just making it more difficult. Straight face.
And you know what? To those who are saying, would you want somebody to do that to your son? Yes. I don't, because my son already. This is why people like my son. He goes in there, he shakes your hand, he greets you. He has a conversation with parents. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yes. I ain't trying to beat nobody's kid.
No.
Because as a father, I'm responsible for any kid that comes in my presence to make them better when they leave my presence. Yeah. I believe that. That's my mantra. Mm-hmm. But when you come, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm so happy my daughter met you. No. No. You're going to recognize, and your family's going to recognize, she's never alone.
No.
She's never alone.
You want to know something else I did?
What's up?
I didn't have to do this with my second daughter because she never dated anybody. She was just
that you know of. No, I'm gonna be real with you.
Now you trying to go there.
I am. I'm still salty.
Now I need to find you a filter. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying, Los.
She probably trying to hit me right here.
I hope I did. I ain't tried. If I missed the mark, I'll give you another one.
See that? You see that?
No, but for real talk, what'd you do? Tell me.
He would, after meeting him, I was like, okay, I met the parents, I met him, decent young fella, come from a decent home and all that good stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. So if you guys go anywhere, he has to call me. Every time. If y'all going to the mall, if you're going to the movies, if you're going to the store, if you're going somewhere after school, every time. Man. He got to call me. And not you. My daughter can't call me.
Yeah.
He got to call me. Because I knew it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And again, I had a good feel about him, which was cool. But, hey, Mr. Spencer, is it okay if we go to the mall today? Okay, what time y'all going over there? Into the mall. Okay, what time y'all going to be back? All right, that's good. Thanks.
That's pretty good, bro. I'm actually thinking, like, if that was my son and you were doing that, you actually helping my son become a man.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's actually really good.
Why it wasn't like a scare tactic. It wasn't to make you feel uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, they would spend time. I'm preparing you. Yeah. And like you said, I would want somebody to do the same thing for my son. And so he was a young black man. So I am also, Black Dad Unfiltered, I am also being mindful this is somebody else's black son.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make him feel scared. Like, that type of...
Yeah, we ain't trying to do that.
I ain't trying to do that.
Well, you ain't trying to do that.
But I'm trying...
No, go ahead, continue.
But I do want to help you become a young man and to know what it's like to be responsible with a young lady, especially my daughter.
Yeah. You know what? You dropping it. I'm not ready there yet. You know what I'm saying? I ain't. But I know I have to. Yeah. And that's the thing, because... I know I have to. Mm-hmm. Because the truth is... You gotta live.
You do.
I gotta let you enjoy your life. But to your point is, I still gotta raise you to be. I still gotta raise you to be a grown woman, a young lady, and a wife. Not just by myself, of course, but there is a part as a dad that you do that, right? Because we talked about it. I'm your first line of learning effective communication.
That's it. Right
so
there.
You should be able to come to me and tell me whatever you feel and never feel threatened, because then you know what it feels like to have an authentic conversation. And when you don't have it, you're like, wait a minute, there's an example of this. This is why I sit there and say, I can give you flowers, but I got to teach you lessons. Everything has to be teachable. It's stuff that I would normally do with my son. Like, okay, you got to change your tire. You know, same thing with my daughter. My daughter wants, my youngest, man, listen, it's so hard because everything on television tells them a different look for black girls. Well, my 15 was about to be 16, she wanted a sheer top. I said, what you want a sheer top for? And she started talking this whole recklessness like, well, it's a form of my expression. I said, the school got you talking like that.
Wow.
So I said, I guarantee if I put you in the middle of the mall with your sheer top, you're going to feel uncomfortable. They ain't going to be expressing yourself. So I said, you're going to learn beauty and modesty. Rule number one, you look good. And there's going to come a place you can wear whatever you want. Your dad's not going to say nothing to you because you're a grown woman at that moment. But until then, I'm going to teach you beauty and modesty. And I'm going to teach you to ask yourself, why do I want this outfit? Like my youngest, she always wants to wear short skirts. I'm like, yo, your skirt's going to go to your knee. Now everyone's be like, oh, you old school. You thinking outdated. You're limiting her expression. No, I'm teaching her different forms of expression. Like, why do you want... I know why. Let's not lie to ourselves. You want to go and have people look at you. Not in a bad way. You want the new outfit and want to wear it because you want... Everybody wants all eyes on them. It's like the Invisible Man theory, right? Black men wear a lot of jewelry because they've never been seen before. So now you can't ignore me. So with the women, you want this because you want either some level of edification, validation from something outside of you. Right? So my job now is, well, we're not going to do that.
So to me too, I know,
am I making sense though?
You're making sense, and somebody's probably feeling like you said. Somebody feeling like you're old school, you're saying that. No, what's wrong with a father having some rules and guidelines for your child?
Man, listen,
what's wrong with that?
If I don't do it, you're not going to treat her kindly when she's not with me.
And you know something that your child doesn't know.
Come on, man.
I'll give it back to this. One of my children was very young. I've given this example before. I don't think on our podcast. And the oven was hot. And my child always would want to touch the oven.
Yeah.
Just fascinated by the oven. Right? And I'm like, no, you can't. Because I know you're going to burn yourself. You think you're having fun. If I let you burn yourself to learn the lesson, I'm not being a good father. I'm not allowing you to do something that you want to do. And I'm not allowing you to do it because I know something that you don't know about this. I think that's very similar with the clothes and with the guy. I know something you don't know, baby. And I love you. And I'm trying to protect you and guide you. I often tell my children too, especially my daughters, I just want you to be your age. So when I'm trying to tell you certain things to do and not to do, I don't want you to have to be 20. Man. I don't want you to have to be 25. I don't want you to have to be 30. I want you to be 15, 17, 18, and have fun.
You know what's funny? I'm going to take it for a spin. Because you made me think of it, right? I just want you to be your age. I do this with my daughter. I say, you 13, I'm going to dress you like you're 13. I'm not dressing you like you're 20. I'm just not, right? No, because again, so we didn't outright say this, but one of the challenges of raising daughters is that everything in society is trying to demean, cripple, and attack your daughters. Their self-esteem, their self-character, their self-worth. You already know the United States, how long did it take for women to vote? Right? So this is a very masculine society. But when you look at images that, because remember, we're not with our kids all day.
Right.
When I look at my daughters and what they're looking at, and my daughters start doing the ow and trying to, I'm like, I gotta fight media. I gotta fight your school. I gotta fight your friend circle. Because especially if they don't have the same moral values and ethical values I have.
Right.
So you start realizing, listen, if you do not be the only voice, because I guarantee you as a father, for the most part, you're the one voice consistently like, we ain't going outside like this.
Oh yeah.
We're not
especially
going.
in today's society.
Right? So for me, it made me even double down even worse. Because again, I have a 13-year-old, and what she wants to wear, I get it. Because society has told you this is beautiful, and you probably don't like the way you look, and you want everyone in school to be like, you look great, so you can feel better about yourself. Well, guess what? Your dad's here to say, you look good regardless. What they don't know yet is what gold looks like. What they don't know yet is what value looks like. What they want is something that's easy on their eyes. What I'm building in you is something that's going to stand the test of time. You are that virtuous woman, and when you turn 30, you're going to understand exactly what I mean.
So is it
and listen, don't get me started, man. Don't get me. No, where am I? Listen, we're bringing the people to the church right now. Where's my camera? Is this one my camera?
You right there. You on? It's on. It's on.
No, but for real, Los, you don't got me started. It's the child, man.
So, is it safe to say that it's our job as fathers to be able to speak that into our children because they're not going to hear it from the world?
You have to,
or the world is going to tell you all these other voices and all these other things. And here's black fathers. What about the daughters who don't have that sound voice and all they have is the voice coming out from everywhere else?
Listen. So when my daughter has these parties, and I didn't realize my daughter was watching me. Anytime there's a young girl in my presence, I am now your protector as well. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So one of the moms had called because the kids came from a party. Can you help bring my daughter home? Yeah, no problem. So when I get there, I double park my car. I go out, open the door for the daughter. She's like, I'm okay, miss. Now I'm going to walk you to your door. I'm going to wait to make sure I'm not leaving until your mother calls me and tells me that you made it into your thing. I didn't realize my daughter's watching me do that. Because she realized this wasn't just a responsibility I did for her. This is how I treat women.
Period.
Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So it is your responsibility to speak life not only into your daughter, but to any daughter you see. Right? Not in trying to, making sure they understand. My nieces, yo, listen, we don't play that game. You're amazing. I want to talk to you. I want to hear how your day was. I've been in relationships where I go to open the door and I've heard this. I'm not used to this.
Yeah.
But I've also seen what it does when they do get used to it, because it creates a dynamic as I believe God has intended it. So I know I went on my rant.
It's all right.
Because I'm looking now, I'm saying, wow, I've been fortunate because from the time my youngest was born, but her first words were like, call me queen. I've been calling this girl queen for 13 years now. And I see the dynamic we have. She wants to talk to me. My oldest daughter, same thing. She's princess. And I realized, different than my son, where I got to teach you how to pick yourself back up, I have to teach you your value. So anyway, this is not where we were going with this. I went sideways.
It's in there, and I'll ask this because I'm gonna go far. We can come back because we still got time.
Yeah,
I'm gonna skip a stage.
Okay.
So, should we as black men be treating women like they're somebody's daughter? Because many men that I've approached with that space and like, yo, bro, one of my friends in particular, he was doing some things and kind of wilding out with his woman. And I said, yo, bro, would you want somebody to treat your daughter like that? Men don't like to hear that.
Yo, this is why I sit there and say hurt people, man.
Yeah.
And this is why we're doing this, because I can give you countless stories, but I don't know what the statute of limitations is in certain states and certain legalities. Right? That's just the honest to God truth. You know what I mean? With the people I grew up with.
Yeah.
But you're right. Can you treat this woman? Because that's my fear, Los. Like, let's be honest with this. That's my fear is, I love you. I'm always going to take care of you. I always want what's best for you. But I'm fully cognizant most of the black men that are growing up today have not seen love, have not experienced love, have not had any level of moral and ethics trained into them. So my fear is you're not going to get someone like me. Right? And so to your point, we do have a responsibility, if we want this community to flourish, is to have us, treat women the way we want our daughters treated.
And right? Goes back to your point that if there's not a lot of men in these daughters' lives, then we need to be mindful of that when we're out.
Yo, Los, let me tell you, man. The question comes here. How does a woman learn how to love a man? I'll wait. Give me an answer. How does she learn?
How to love a man? If she needs to know what that man needs, it needs to be from a man.
She learns from her father.
Yeah.
So if a woman's never had a father in her life, never had that intimate relationship, how the hell is she going to... Man.
See, people don't talk about that side of it because what you hear, the dynamic you hear often is young boys without a father. That's the conversation you hear a lot. You don't hear a lot of the effects of the daughter because your daughter is mostly who are in their single family homes. Most homes are being raised by
and statistically not, yeah.
And you'll I think subconsciously people believe, oh, well, the daughter had her mother. But what are the effects on that young daughter who didn't have a father in their life? What are the effects of that?
How do you learn how to love a man?
How do you? And then does it continue to cycle?
That, you see what I'm saying?
Over again. I never saw my mom being loved by a man. I never saw what it was like, and we talked about this with Dawn in the last episode. I never saw what it was like for a man to be in the home, leading a home. So some women may reject leadership because they haven't seen it before. Not because the man ain't doing what he's supposed to do. You've never experienced this.
Welcome to my party, Los.
Having daughters and the way we treat them is literally a lifelong and lasting effect. Literally.
Because remember, they're the womb.
Yeah.
They're the ones that bring life into this world.
Yeah.
So, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is why I sit there and say the challenge is one, realizing that this is a girl, and as a father, realizing you're responsible for the value creation in her. Mm-hmm. Part of her self-esteem first comes from how we treat her.
Yeah.
Even though, Cat Williams, it's self-esteem, esteem of yourself. No, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about daughters start to love themselves the more their father shows them love.
So what more can we do as fathers? We have daughters. What more can we do, or what things are we doing that we can share with other fathers who may have daughters one day, or who may be looking for some information as to what can I do? How can I do this better?
Great question, because I actually asked myself this.
Yeah.
The first thing I said is, the same effort I put in my son, I have to put into my daughters.
Yeah.
Right? The same expectations I have for my son, it's okay to have same expectations for my daughters. Mm-hmm. To be a good woman, to be a citizen, to have value, to have high character, to have self-esteem. Mm-hmm. I have to start realizing that it's not always about one. It's about all of them. And there's certain foundational things that you all going to be raised with. All my kids go through adversity. Mm-hmm. That's why they all play sports. Because I got to teach you resolve. I have to teach you resilience. Mm-hmm. I have to teach you this amount of pain that you experience, this one push-up, this one mountain climber, this one extra step, this one extra run. The outcome far outweighs the pain. Mm-hmm. This is going to be the same thing in marriage. Mm-hmm. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have conversations with my daughters about how I feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I told my daughter when there was a time when I was helping my daughter get her voice. Which is, so this was a psychological tactic I did with her. Whenever I would go to hug her and she would be like, no, Dad, playfully, I wouldn't hug her. Mm-hmm. Then I started asking her, and that was hard for me, because it's my daughter.
Yeah.
Can I hug you? Mm-hmm. And she would say no, until some point where she was like, Dad, can I have a hug? Yeah. But that was an exercise in me saying, I won't do this just because I feel like I'm your father. No is no even for me. Mm-hmm. Is this kind of making sense?
Yeah, it does.
And then these are things I just had to start doing, and I told her years later, that was the hardest thing for me to do, babe, because at certain ages you can have certain different type of conversations. Mm-hmm. When you're 10, I can't tell you why I'm doing this. Right. But when you're now about to be 16, I can tell you why I did what I did back then. Yeah. And I told her that was hard for me. You know how hard it is for me to want to hug my daughter. My daughter may not want to hug me back. Yeah. That's debilitating. And then I'm teaching her how we can have open and honest conversations, and how my hurt had nothing to do with you as a person. You don't got to internalize this. Right. So there's conversation. You know what I mean? So these are things we got to do with our daughters.
So constantly kind of showing that example, showing that role model. And that to me is an example that we don't think about often. The example of, you even said, like Noah still even know in this situation with my own child. Right? I would also say, whether you're in a traditional sense in the home with your child or not in the home with your child, I've had this example like with a friend of mine. His daughter is now grown, and his daughter grew up with the mom. He wasn't in the home. His daughter came back to him and said, Dad, I would have been better off with you, better off with your rules, because he was pretty strict with her growing up. But when she went back with mom wasn't as strict. She kind of could do what she want. You're a child. You are definitely going to like that environment more. Most children. I get what I want. I do what I want. And now that she's an adult, good and grown, she understands, man, I would have been better off with me having more rules in my life. I say that to say, whether you're in the home or not in the home,
or boundaries,
as a father, boundaries, rules, guidance. Give guidance to your children, because it's necessary, and because if you don't give guidance, and they gonna bump up against something. Sooner or later, they're gonna bump up against something. If you don't guide them and give them some type of rules, somebody else or something else is gonna guide them and give them.
They're gonna fall for everything, right? To that point, right? And so again, if we go into tips, it's not only be the role model, but exercise the skills necessary. That's why I say communication is big.
Yeah.
Exercise the skills that's necessary for a man to have with them, meaning that show them that a man can talk.
Yeah.
Show them that a man can show affection. Show them that a man can say, I'm sorry. Show them that a man can uplift you. You get what I'm saying? Show them that a man also has this. So it's not just being a role model, being present, right? Or showing them how you treat their mom, but it's also engaging them to know what healthy conversation looks like.
I've had conversations with my daughter. This was one that was serious. My daughter, she's older now. She's in her 20s, 20. And I remember we were talking, and she asked me something about, this parenting. Her mother and I are not together. And I said to her, babe, you talking about show them your feelings. Show them that you're human. Show them that. I said, you have to understand that I'm 46. My dad died at age 43. I'm now living in a space where I never had an example when I was your age. When I was your age, my father was dead. So when I was your age, I no longer had somebody in my life that I could look up to and even get a guide from. So a lot of stuff I'm doing with you right now is firsthand. And I just wanted her to know that, babe, some of the stuff I'm learning on the job. And I said that to her verbatim.
But that's healthy.
Yeah.
We got to pay our bill because for some reason this TV went out, man. But I don't know what's going on. Like, who's not paying the bills to the house?
That was probably the person the phone rang.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if we being plotted on, our logos gone and everything. I got people's phones ringing during the recording. Like, what's going on here?
The conversation was just too good.
But I think this is a conversation we need to have because daughters are amazing. But I do believe I don't say I do believe. I don't see enough representation of the emphasis on the daughters, right? Because we're talking about raising, we're talking about raising young kings. But I love the fact that to this day I call my youngest daughter Queen. I love the fact I can see her face light up because when I'm around, she knows this is somebody that wants to be next to me, wants to talk to me, and now she knows. You know what I'm saying? When you're in a relationship. Man, I just don't love you. I like you. I want them to know what it's like to be liked as well.
My daughters, and now they're in that age, and I've told them, you're at the age now where I like the people that you are. I like to hang around with you. I also like that my daughters know that they can call on me and that I'm going to be there for them.
Absolutely.
And even if it's something that may not happen, they still are coming to me, which shows me that that's that trust. And I was able to ask my daughters last time we sat down with them, I said, has there been a time? And it wasn't even like an arrogant, it was kind of like a dialogue question. Has there been a time you've come to your dad and I haven't been there for you? And they said, no, Dad, you've been there for us. You've been there for us. But in that same conversation of letting them know that we're human, I said, now understand, after we leave this table, it might be something that happens that we may not all agree with, but this is the one thing you're going to know about your father. If it's not perfect, which is not always going to be, I'm always going to be there and I'm always going to be willing.
The being willing part, right? That goes to something else. As a father, and we can talk about this ad nauseum, so we'll pick this up, but as a father, your daughters is a great place to practice being vulnerable.
Great place. Yeah.
Great place, right? It's a great place to practice that, because vulnerable to me is one of the strongest things you can do. It's a great place to practice some of that and engage them and treat them like young people, right? And create that, because remember, we have to create self-esteem in our girls and our young, because they're the future. They bring future to life. Rod Dolphin quote.
He got it in, ladies and gentlemen. Bars.
But yo, I think we can talk about this some more. We just started on the surface. Probably next show I'm gonna ask you, have you had the sex talks with your kids yet? But I don't want to do that now.
I'm trying to go on filter for real. See what he doing?
No, because I want to know.
A little jab in there before we fade to black.
Before we, my dad, when I took my son, I took my son to school. He's like, yo, did you put condoms in the suitcase? I said, for what? Yeah, come on, man, don't be stupid. I mean, so you know what I mean. I'm sitting there looking because my son is still my baby boy.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid. You know your son, man. Any little girl could just talk to him and take his pen. I was like, good Lord. Now I'm like, I didn't have to talk with you. No.
Wait. Your dad asked you, did you do this for your son?
Yeah.
Oh, you just messed me up. I thought you was going back to your college experience when you were about to go to college.
When I dropped my son off and I came back, my dad sat down. Did you put condoms in the suitcase?
And your son?
My son. I was like this. And I was like this. Like, what are we doing? Stop this. Stop. And I said, no, I didn't put anything. I said, he'd be fine. He's like, he's going to be fine. Come on, man. You know your son, man. Somebody gonna talk and he's gonna end up in some room.
Yeah.
And then it started scaring the mess out of me. I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, back then I was like, oh, you gonna get mono. What did I do? I should have sat down, put it on a banana for you.
That's good.
You know what I
mean? That's good father conversation to you.
He coming back soon. And I'm be like, yo, son, we're gonna have to have this conversation, right? Lay the condoms out. This may fit you. This one may fit you. This one may not fit you.
Unfiltered, baby.
Yo, listen, man.
This is a great one, y'all. Like it, share, subscribe it, content, or put the comments on it, man. We've had a great time in this conversation. We'll continue with it some more. Black Dad Unfiltered. I'm Carlos V. Spencer.
And I'm your boy, Coach Rod. Let's go. Let's grow. Let's go get it.
That's right. Y'all be blessed.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's grow. Let's grow. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's